Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, hello again, everybody. This is Rob Godlewski with the Think Small podcast. And today our guest is Tommy Page. Tommy is the CFO of Cheerwine. And if you're in the South, especially the Carolinas, you know what I'm talking about when I say Cheerwine. Tommy, thanks for joining us today on the Think Small podcast.
Glad to be here. Good talking with you.
Absolutely. So first of all, Tommy, so you've been the CFO for quite a while there, right? How long have you been
correct. 25 years.
25 years. Wow. And Cheerwine is not exactly a brand new company. It's got a long and storied history. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the company and the product and its history?
The main company was founded in 1913 here in Salisbury. And then in 1917, Mr. Peeler concocted this cherry flavored soft drink. They came up with the name of Cheerwine. Back in those days during World War I, sugar was rationed and you couldn't get much of it. And so, whatever they can make, they could sell, but the cherry flavored drink was naturally sweet, and so it took less sugar. And so we've been selling it since 1917. Our CEO is fourth generation. We've got 6 children involved for the 5th generation of the family, and it's all a big family story. And it's a great company. I'm not a family member, but I've enjoyed being here, and it's been a good run for me.
Wow. So, I mean, with what a long and storied history the company's had, clearly the business has seen many ups and downs and times of big expansion and also times of, tougher times, right? Revenue contraction.
Sure.
Can you tell us about a time when revenues were down and how was the business able to manage through that period and come out the other end?
Sure, yeah. The one that comes to mind was COVID. COVID was a strange time. Nobody knew what was going on. A lot of challenges. Could you still operate? Thankfully we were considered an essential business, so we could still operate. We could still make our product. We could still deliver the product. But on the Cheerwine side, the volume softened up significantly during 2020, early on in the pandemic. But by the end of the year, things had sort of recovered back on a volume basis. But the other side of the business, besides just the Cheerwine brand, we also do a lot of distribution with a lot of the Dr. Pepper Snapple brands throughout the Carolinas.
Oh, okay.
And so we've got 10 warehouses throughout the Carolinas that deliver to grocery stores, convenience stores, drugstore, everything under the sun. And so that side of the business was different during COVID. We saw a pretty good volume spike in the grocery side, although the restaurant side was down, but our restaurant side of the business is smaller than our competitors, thank goodness. So we were in a good position with that. But that whole COVID thing was a very, very strange time where we're all trying to figure out what we're supposed to do, just like everybody else in the world was. And there's a lot of uncertainty and didn't know what your revenue stream was going to be and if and when it was going to recover.
It surprises me you say that about COVID because usually any product or service that was centered around the home had a pretty good run during COVID because everybody was stuck at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think that Cheerwine suffered during that period?
Well, I mean, we saw a change in what packages people were buying. They sort of went away from the 2 liters, which I think is more the gatherings with a lot of people, and they went.
That makes sense.
Yeah, went to more of the single serve, the 12-ounce cans, the 20-ounce bottles. So that's why we were able to recover the volume on the Cheerwine side by the end of 2020. But it was just, I don't know. I don't have a great crystal ball, but it was, we did see the grocery side on the distribution piece of our business pick up volume during the pandemic because, as you said, people were staying at home. They were going to the grocery store. And they were sort of replacing what they would do in a restaurant out of the grocery store. So, yeah, it was interesting seeing one piece of the business up and another piece of the business down during COVID.
Right. Well, Tommy, talk to us about a time when sales really ramped up, right? Because as you and I both know, challenges in a time of rapid expansion are sometimes a lot harder to deal with and understand than those times of revenue contraction. So tell us about a time when that happened.
Well, we've picked up 3 energy brands in the last 16 months on the distribution side of it. And so that has certainly picked up the business for us. nice volume lift, but that has, it's a whole nother set of challenges. It's we have to carry a lot more inventory. All our
Uh,
warehouses are too small. So the SKU is, the number of SKUs we have today have just proliferated. So the guys in the warehouse are trying to figure out where to store things. Obviously, from a cash flow standpoint, the inventory is a drag on your cash flow, and then it sits in
certainly.
AR until we complete the cycle of getting paid. And so that, that's been challenging, but we all knew it going into it, and we all were prepared for it. We've been watching it, and it's interesting watching it when it turns and the cash does come in.
And I'm assuming that your customers, although they're highly valued and they're good
Oh yeah.
customers, but they don't necessarily pay in 15 or 30 days.
Oh yeah, I mean we have to watch that like a hawk. I spend a lot of time with our team. Our team does a really good job. We've got a lot of statistics we track, we really monitor because that cash flow is a critical piece of the business, and it keeps it all flowing and moving. And it is, I've learned from all my years of experience that that is the piece that can really cause the business to suffer if you don't manage it very judiciously.
Interesting. So, Tommy, when we first talked, you mentioned a couple areas where you really took some out of the box thinking relative to, how you're managing the company's finances in your role as CFO. Why don't we talk about those areas? You did some
Sure,
really
yeah.
unique things with insurance and some coverage there.
Yeah, we've taken, there's a couple pieces of the business that we've taken, and you can't really control these costs, but we can try to manage them and have an influence on them. And the first one is we have for our medical plan, it's a self-funded medical plan. So instead of buying coverage from one of the BUCAs, that's spelled BUCA, and that stands for Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Cigna, and Aetna. Instead of buying what we call a fully funded plan from those guys, we're basically just say, here's what your premium's going to be. And they don't care. They care what the claims are, but the claims to us are sort of masked because we're just buying a fixed premium. But the beauty of that for a lot of CFOs, it gives them predictable cash flow. They know what the
Oh,
premium is going to have to pay every month. We have a different take on it, and we have it self-funded, which means it's our plan and we monitor and run it. So we have to hire a third-party administrator to adjudicate claims. So when you go to the doctor and you get your explanation of benefits, instead of getting it from Blue Cross or United or Cigna or Aetna, it comes from our third-party administrator and it has our brand name on it. Um,
right.
and so you've got to hire the TPA, then you have to hire a pharmacy benefit manager to take care of the prescription drug side of things. And then we have to have contracts and all that. But by doing that, you effectively cut out a middleman trying to make 15 to 20% on you. And then your claims experience is what goes to your bottom line. So if we're in a fully funded plan with one of the BUCAs and we have a good year and the claims are low, well, that's great for the BUCA because they get to keep the excess premium that we paid.
Right.
In our model, if the claims are lower, that directly goes to our bottom line. And so I think we're probably saving at least 20 or 30% a year by doing it that way. And also by doing that, you can sort of set your own rules. There's a few things we do differently than a lot of other companies.
Hmm.
And the big one recently that's had a lot of news is the GLP-1s, the
Oh, interesting.
Mounjaros, Ozempics, all those brand names like that. And there's been a lot of articles in the Wall Street about these companies that started with a wide open stance, said anybody can get those drugs. Well, they're very expensive. Now a
Right.
lot of companies are cutting back, sort of doing what we've done from the start, said the only way you can get it is if it's medically necessary. A lot of times that means they've got diabetes or they're pre-diabetic and they'll need it.
Sure.
But so we just don't open the floodgate and let anybody that wants to lose weight use those drugs. And so, that's an example of some of the tweaks you can do when you have your own self-funded medical plan, set your own rules about what you're going to pay for. So I was going to say, so we just look at it as a prudent risk management tool. It's a way we think we can save money. The downside to it, when I talk to other CFOs about it, they realize pretty quickly, oh, what's that going to do to your cash flow? Because when you're self-funded, you're paying the claims as they occur. And that's the thing that tends to run most other people away when I talk to them about. They're like, "Oh, well, when will those claims come in?" You're like, I don't know. They can come in the first day of the plan year. They can come in the last day of the plan year.
Not exactly something you can effectively forecast.
That's correct. You never know. Somebody can have a stroke or a heart attack or a baby, and there's a big claim. So we're fortunate that we've got a good working capital position and we've got good cash flow so that we can handle those ups and downs. But by being able to suffer through those peaks and valleys of the cash flow, we feel like we save good money on the bottom line by doing that.
Interesting. I've had a number of different employers in my career, and I've never heard of even the largest of multi-billion-dollar companies having a self-funded medical plan.
Well,
It sounds like this is really unique.
No, I'm expecting those multi-billion-dollar employers are doing it, but it's all hidden behind the scenes to the employees. I mean, probably most of our employees don't understand we do that if they're not hanging around here in the hall hearing what we talk about.
Got it. Sure.
Because you just don't try to make a big deal about it, but it's just another risk management tool that we implement and utilize that saves us money. And so it's just taking one of those fairly large line items and letting you try to control your experience with it.
Interesting.
And what we talk about with the plans, you typically the claims usually run in a 3-year cycle. You'll have a good year, you'll have a bad year, and you'll have a mediocre year. And so, when you balance it all out, and if the claims aren't as much as somebody projected they are, that's money going straight to the bottom line for the company. And it's just a good way to try to control our net income. And we're fortunate to have good enough cash flow to be able to suffer through those peaks and valleys.
And Tommy, did you bring this opportunity to the company?
No, actually, I learned about it. It was here when I got here. But
Oh,
I've
interesting. Okay.
never been involved in it before, but I've really cut my teeth on it. And we've taken a lot of steps with it. We do a lot of things with it. We've improved it over the years. And to the point where we got to the point 10 years ago when we said, why can't we do this with our property and casualty insurance, particularly with workers' comp and auto liability? Those are two big areas for us because we've got a lot of employees and workers' comp claims are very expensive. We had our mod for our workers' comp, which is what dictates your premiums when you're in the standard market, was going up because our claims are more than they anticipated for a company like us. We're having bad claims. And so we knew a captive we felt like it was a way to help control those costs when we finally got in a position where we could do it. And basically what you're doing with a captive insurer is we own a piece of an insurance company, and our particular one happens to be based in the Cayman Islands. And then we're able to effectively self-fund our own claims for workers' comp and auto liability. There's a lot of metrics behind it and everything, but here again, you're cutting out a middleman that's trying to make, say, 20 or 30% on you because that's the risk they're taking on. And so we effectively self-fund our own claims. And if you have good claims experience, if you have a good safety culture and your claims are less than anticipated by the actuaries, then you're saving money. And we just look at it as another prudent management tool that we can utilize to help save the company money and make us more competitive in the marketplace.
Very interesting. So you've really been leading and managing a very unique method to save a lot of money and really manage a company's finances effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting ride on that, and but we were all dedicated to it. Our CEO and me and another person, and just we think it's a great tool we have to prudently manage some risk and save some money.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a tip for our podcast audience that I think will be very valuable. I'm sure we got a lot of head scratchers out there going, wow, I wonder if I could benefit from something like this. And you know what? Yeah. If they can, I'll introduce them to you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I'd love to talk to some people about it and help, see what I can do with it.
Sure. So Tommy, let's talking back to the business again, right? The Cheerwine brand, it's a relatively regional popular brand. I mean, I'm based in St. Louis, Missouri, and I've never heard of it. I'd love the opportunity to, taste the product, but what does the next, say, 3 to 5 years look like for the brand and the company?
I mean, we will keep doing what we've been doing. We're fortunate to have a very loyal customer base North Carolina and South Carolina. And then we sort of have that rabid fan base that's around the country, seems like, and they are just, gaga to get into it and be able to find it. Now, they can find it at all the Cracker Barrels and World Markets. And then if you go to our website, we've got a finder where you can go find it where you are. There's a lot of Kroger's and Publix that carry it also. So it's not as hard to get as it used to be. But we're going to keep doing what we do. We keep looking for expansion opportunities and trying to, get more distribution on the Cheerwine side. One of the things that we do every year that's really, really neat is we have the Cheerwine Festival in May here in downtown Salisbury. We started that, I guess is in 2017 for the 100th anniversary, and we put it on with the city. After the first year, we had about 30,000 people here in downtown Salisbury for the one-day festival. And it was so successful, the city came to us after it was over and said, let's do this again. And we looked and said, we can't do it. It about killed us. But why don't you put it on? We'll be the sponsor. And we've been doing it every year since. In the last 2 years, we think the turnout's been 120,000 people for the one-day festival in Salisbury. And the statistics we have is we think it's the largest festival in the Southeast, if not the country, because most of the other festivals that have larger attendance are multi-day events, and ours is just one day.
Oh, wow.
It is a fantastic time. I mean, you've got vendors selling Cheerwine, food, beverages, everything Cheerwine infused. We've got games for the kids. We've got bands. It is a big deal, and thank goodness we have consumers that want to come out and enjoy that day with us.
Well, if it's in May, I'm sorry I missed it. But
yes.
Next year, I'll put it on my calendar.
Yeah, keep it in mind because we here again, it's the rabid fan base we have that love to come do everything Cheerwine, and it is a fun day for everybody.
Wow. Talking about the expansion and, just keeping on doing your thing and kind of get more customers aware of the Cheerwine brand. What could possibly be holding you back from, achieving those growth goals?
It's a number of things. It's a combination of marketing and consumer awareness. When we've tried going into other markets, maybe the consumers aren't aware of the brand as they are. It's expensive to do the advertising, and it's just a challenge. But, we're fortunate that people in the South, particularly the two Carolinas, we joke that a lot of them came up with Cheerwine in their baby bottle. So they certainly are aware of it, and, they love it. And we're sort of the underdog that people love to root for.
Okay. Interesting. Well, listen, Tommy, this has been a great discussion. I really appreciate your time here with the Think Small podcast. Tommy Page, the Chief Financial Officer with Cheerwine and the Carolina Beverage Corporation. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the Think Small podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity. It's been fun.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?